Hey, Read Through the Word. Today is May 12th, and today's lesson is called Purpose. I think that is, when we talk purpose, that's probably everybody's question. What is my purpose? What's my purpose in life? And it's one I talk about with my students a lot. When you've got, like right now, we're at almost the very end of the school year. I'm in the midst of everything right now. Finishing research papers and projects, and I'm an English teacher, and presentations, and then I had students that just took their AP, and I thank you for praying for them. We will not know those scores until the middle of summer, but the College Board released who writes the SAT. That's who write the AP exams, and they released the some of the questions that hold a lot of weight this past week, and so we walked through those together, and based on how they told me they answered, I'm feeling really good. So we thank you for your prayers, and I told them y'all were praying for them, and so I've got that done, but I'm in the middle of, they've all got to do presentations that each had to choose a different continent and do all these things with it. And then we've got a school musical coming up, so we've got production week coming up this next week, where we have rehearsals every day after school, and we have a dress rehearsal, and we have performances, and I'm getting all of these students, and it really comes down to, why do I do what I do? What is my purpose in life? What will I do? More, Miss Nance, I just don't know. And I get that a lot. And I had a student come to me today, Miss Nance, I just need to sit and talk to you for a little bit. I went, okay, that's fine. Sit down. Let's talk. Let's talk. And a lot of times they just need to say out loud what they're thinking, and they need me to listen. And my first response is always, have you talked to your parents? And where in the Word are you right now? So let's look at how the Word can help you. But I think that idea of purpose, you think about, it might not be framed in that language. When you were a child, somebody probably say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think it took me till I was in my 40s to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And who knew it was going to be a teacher? When I was little, I said I wanted to be an ice skater. I didn't even know how to ice skate, but that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so it is that idea, and it's one of the main questions that every world religion has some type of answer for. Doesn't mean it's the right one. But so it's that question that's always there. What is my purpose? What has God placed me on this earth to do? So you know what? He's told us. I always tell students, that's the easiest. Now, we're going to talk about a few things about how you wind that up and how you walk it out in life. But what is our purpose? Well, Psalm 67 tells us. It starts off with this in verse 1 and 2. It says this: may God be merciful and bless us. May his face smile with favor on us. May your ways be known throughout the earth, your saving power among people everywhere. So this psalm echoes in those first verses. It echoes the priestly blessing of back that we read in Numbers 6. And so when God, and I think I did this with Read Through the Word last year. It might have been last year. Would we have been in Numbers already? Last year or year before, because I remember doing the lesson about Numbers 6. And it's the only, God gives the words himself to use. God says, say this. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. Shalom. And so we went into all of that. This is echoing of that. But it means, what does it mean to have God's face smile with favor upon us? And what's the purpose? So if he's going to smile with favor upon us, what is the purpose? Why is he doing this? What does this psalm mean? So when we look, it says that if you look in the psalm itself answers the question. The psalm itself answers the question. So let's continue and read through. It's a small, short psalm, only 7 verses. It says, may the nations praise you, O God. Yes, may all the nations praise you. Let the whole world sing for joy, because you govern the nations with justice and guide the people of the whole world. May the nations praise you, O God. Yes, may all the nations praise you. Then the earth will yield its harvest, and God, our God, will richly bless us. Yes, God will bless us, and all people all over the earth will fear him or revere him, worship him. So the purpose is that, why does he shine favor upon his people? That his ways may be known on the earth and his saving power among the nations. God, so we see this right here. God loves his people. God blesses his people. And we talked about blessing and curse when we were in Leviticus, I think. Either Leviticus or Deuteronomy, I talked about it. God gives grace to his people, unmerited favor. So all of this idea, he does this for his people so that others may become his people. What? Yes, that's why he's doing it. That's what the purpose. Remember when we looked at the book of Leviticus, and that I said, you need to remember that this is a book that is written to a specific people in a specific place, in a specific position for a specific purpose. Remember my favorite word, specific. So that God's in the purpose is that all the world shall be blessed through him. How is all the world blessed? Because they become God's people. And here is this wonderful thing. God blesses us for the spread of his grace and his glory in all the world. Our purpose comes from that God gives us grace for a purpose. And our purpose is that we are a huge part in the spread of his blessing and grace among all the nations. This is our purpose. So I always say it is our purpose is, this is why, remember when we were about to talk about, when we understand the meta-narrative of the Bible, the whole overarching theme, God's plan, his decreed will, when we look at that and then we have our life, the place that our life intersects with his plan is our purpose. This is our purpose, to make him known throughout the world so that others can become his people too. Now, how does it work in your life and in my life? It works. That's why we're individual. I say this, as God shines his favor upon us, we glorify him. And in that purpose that we give glory and honor to him, and that we testify to his grace, we testify to his mercy, we testify to his goodness, we testify to his wonderful plan made available to us through Jesus on the cross. We do that. And when we do that very uniquely. Each of us does that uniquely. I always tell my students that it is the very, I'm going to use my kids' names. I'll use my kids' names. I'll say Reagan can glorify, is Reagan's essence of the very Reaganness about her versus Logan and his Loganness and Nolan and his Nolanness, God has gifted them each individually, and they will praise God in ways that only they can do. And that God does that with you too. And He's uniquely gifted you or given you talents. Now, your spiritual gifts are different, but He has given you talents, and He has gifted you with ways that make you you. And your purpose is to use that to glorify Him. No one else can do that. Only you can. I can't glorify God the way you do. That's you. He's made you to do that. He's made me to do something different. One of my greatest joys is watching my children become glorifiers of God, worshipers of God. I was looked over, and I've told you about my middle son Nolan, and I when we talked about Mephibosheth, and I was in church this past Sunday, and we were singing, and it's that song, it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, and we pour out our praise. And I just am singing, and I just out the corner of my eye see my son, and he's 6'2", and I look, and you know what? He knows God in a way that is unique to him. I can't go inside his mind and his life to see what that's like, but you know what? It showed on his face. I say that kid, he's 19 years old now, and he has his eyes closed, and he, like, I will pour out my praise, and he's like, and I'm like, and God was glorified in that moment. That's a relationship between the two of them, that looking at that brings glory. He is achieving his purpose. He is achieving his purpose there. Am I achieving mine? Are you achieving yours? What does it look like? But here's the thing, that the nations may know, but you know where the nation starts? The nation starts with the people we see today, tomorrow, and next week. You don't have to wait to go on a mission trip, right? You know, my church just got back into the mission field after all the COVID, and we've got a team in Africa right now. My students went to Nicaragua. We've got another team going to Nicaragua. And I forget, like, Honduras, and we've got like 6 different, but I know not all of us can do that. But you know what? God brings the nations to us, wherever you are, in that these are people who do not know God. Look at the nations as those who do not know God, and God has gifted you uniquely. That is your purpose, to bring others to Him. So you testify of His grace. You testify of His mercy. You testify of His goodness. And you don't stop until He calls you home. And that's your purpose. See you next time on Read Through the Word.